On this week's Goal Show, Guus Hiddink looks to lead Anzhi Makhachkala closer to Europa League qualification. Juventus step up their pre-season preparations with their coach facing suspension. Tim Cahill makes his competitive debut for the New York Red Bulls. And Didier Drogba makes his home bow for Shanghai Shenhua. First to Eastern Europe.
2 years ago, Inter were the toast of Europe after winning a treble under Jose Mourinho. Since his departure in the summer of 2010, the Italian club have had 5 different coaches, and after only managing to finish 6th in Serie A last season, they've had to enter UEFA Europa League qualifying at the 3rd round stage. Hajduk splits are the first hurdle they have to cross in their bid to reach the group stages. Inter's latest boss, Andrea Stramaccioni, took his team to Croatia for the first leg on Thursday. 4 players were making their competitive debuts for Inter, including former Udinese goalkeeper Samir Handanovic, in front of a Partizan home crowd. Stramaccioni had stressed the importance of an away goal, and it came with nearly 18 minutes played, thanks to Dutch international Wesley Sneijder. Inter were completely dominant in the first half. In this, their first game in Europe's 2nd competition since 2004. Yuto Nagamoto's deflected shot had them 2-0 up before half-time. Stramaccioni was in charge of Inter's youth team up until his appointment as caretaker boss in March, following the sacking of Claudio Ranieri. He was given the job permanently in the summer, and Philippe Coutinho's curling effort ensured a winning European debut for the coach. Hajduk split had barely threatened up until then. Only a mistake by another of Inter's debutants, Matthias Silvestre, afforded Anton Malika a clear route to goal. Handanovic, however, was alert to preserve a clean sheet. Maicon, Gianpaolo Pazzini and Giulio Cesar were all missing after being left off Inter's Europa League roster as they look set to leave the club. But this, nonetheless, was a convincing start to Inter's European campaign and the long road back to glory.
Russia's Anzhi Makhachkala are also focused on safely navigating the qualification process under Guus Hiddink. On his coaching staff is the former Brazil international, Roberto Carlos. The 39-year-old announced his retirement from playing just a day before the first leg of Anzi's 3rd round qualifier against Dutch side Vitesse Arnhem. Playing in Moscow because of a UEFA ruling not to allow Anzhi to play at home in the unsafe Dagestan region, the ambitious Russian club found the going tough in the first half. Frank van der Struijk sounded a warning, heading against the angle of post and bar as Vitesse pushed for an away goal. Anzhi had comfortably seen off Hungary's Honvéd in the 2nd round the week before and had the lead here with just over half an hour played. Russian under-21 international Oleg Shatov had scored in Anzi's 5-0 away leg win over Honvéd, and it was his impressive strike that put Hiddink's team in front. And just over 10 minutes later, they doubled their lead. Fyodor Smolov signed on loan from Dynamo Moscow in the close season. He too is a Russian under-21 international, and his precise effort means that Hiddink will be confident of progress as he takes his team to his home country for the 2nd leg. Elsewhere in the 3rd round of Europa League qualifying, Twente and Liverpool both claimed wins as they look to progress, while Dynamo Moscow and Marseille both drew away from home. A place in the playoff round awaits the victors of each tie.
In UEFA Champions League qualifying, Fenerbahce are among the biggest sides attempting to reach the group stages. Dutch international Dirk Kuyt made his competitive debut for the Turkish side as they hosted Romanian League runners-up Vaslui on Wednesday in the first leg of their third-round qualifier. Fenerbahce were withdrawn from last season's Champions League in the aftermath of a match-fixing scandal, with their place in the group stages taken by Trabzonspor. Bidding to make up for that, the home side struggled to contain their opponents in the first half. Vaslui's Marius Nicolai amongst those to test Volkan Demirel. Lucien San-Martien also saw this free kick deflected narrowly wide in front of an increasingly anxious home crowd in Istanbul. Cahill was unable to have a significant impact on his debut, with the 18 times Turkish champions looking short of match practice. The concerns of the Fenerbahce crowd were to grow when, with just 15 minutes to play, Liviu Antal blasted in for Vaslui. The goal a result of some slack defending in the Fenerbahce ranks. It prompted the introduction of former Lille striker Moussa Sow, and his presence on the field appeared to spark Fenerbahce as they clung to their hopes of making it into the playoff round. With seconds to spare, Alex swung over a teasing cross. Bekir Ertuğrul's header a welcome relief to the home support. Fenerbahce still face a big obstacle as they head to Romania for the second leg. Elsewhere in the third qualifying round, there were wins for Dynamo Kiev, Anderlecht and Celtic. Polish champions Sącz Wrocław may have to settle for a Europa League place after losing heavily to Helsingborg, while Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's Molde are also up against it following defeat to Basel.
Last week began with the news on Monday that Liverpool had agreed a loan deal with West Ham United for out-of-favour England striker Andy Carroll. The 23-year-old moved to Liverpool from Newcastle for a British record transfer fee in January of last year. But the arrival of Brendan Rodgers as manager has cast doubts over Carroll's future at Anfield. On Tuesday, Barcelona captain Carles Puyol gave his backing to a new era at the club. With Pep Guardiola gone, the Catalans are preparing for the new Spanish season with Tito Vilanova in charge.
I think we are all important here. We trust Tito a lot and we think we will learn a lot from him. Here we are the team and we pull in the same direction. Everyone is equally important.
Todos vamos en la misma dirección y todos somos importantes.
On Wednesday, it was revealed that Juventus' Serie A title-winning coach Antonio Conte could be facing a lengthy ban. It followed an Italian Football Federation decision to reject a plea bargain deal. Conte is accused of failing to report alleged match rigging involving Siena when he coached them in the 2010-11 Serie B season. On Thursday came some positive news for Aston Villa captain Stilian Petrov. The club revealed that the 33-year-old Bulgarian was in remission and winning his fight against leukemia after 4 months of chemotherapy. Fabrice Muamba revealed on Friday in an interview with CNN that he'd enjoyed an impromptu game of football on holiday. The 24-year-old Bolton midfielder remains hopeful he'll be able to return to play professionally again after his collapse in March. Saturday saw Brazil reach the quarter-finals at the Olympics, following a 3-2 win over Honduras. 2 goals from Leandro Damião and a penalty from Neymar set up a last-four meeting with South Korea, who knocked out Great Britain. And on Sunday, Bayern Munich confirmed that Germany striker Mario Gomez is set for surgery on an ankle injury. The 27-year-old had to be taken off on a stretcher during Bayern's friendly draw with Werder Bremen.
With uncertainty surrounding the future of head coach Antonio Conte, Juventus continued their pre-season preparations on Saturday, with former player Massimo Carrera overseeing team affairs. Conte and his assistant Angelo Alessio watch from the stands as the prospect of a 15-month ban looms over them. Carrera took Conte's place on the bench as the Italian champions met Malaga in the city of Salerno in southwest Italy. And Juve appeared to brush aside their concerns as they took an early lead. Alessandro Matri on target in his side's last friendly before their Italian Super Cup final against Napoli in Beijing. Malaga are preparing to play in the Champions League for the first time, but financial troubles are hampering their preparations. Spanish international Santi Cazorla wasn't involved here, with the midfielder set to leave the Andalusian club. After Joaquin had wasted an opportunity for Malaga, Seba Fernandez saw his header well saved by Marco Storari. And Malaga continued to press after half-time, with Isco's efforts hitting the bar. Poised for a return to the Champions League next month, Juve sealed victory when Matri scored from close in. That's how it stayed as Juve signed off from pre-season with a victory. A successful start for Carrera, who could be seen as a solution to Conte's possible absence from matchday involvement. If he is suspended, Conte will still be able to train the team on a day-to-day basis, as the ban will only apply to matchdays. Juve start the defence of their Serie A crown on August the 26th against Parma.
Coming up in part 2 of this week's goal show, Diego Forlan seeks his first goal for Internacional in Brazil. And a former England international bids for Champions League success across the Atlantic.
Welcome back to this week's goal show. Still to come, the New York Red Bulls introduce their latest star name in Major League Soccer. And Didier Drogba gets a hero's welcome in Shanghai.
We start part 2 in Brazil and Internacional's trip to Palmeiras on Sunday. The visitors came into the game looking to make it consecutive away wins, with Diego Forlan leading their attack. One win in 6 had seen Luis Felipe Scolari's Palmeiras drop down to 18th in the table, but they more than held their own in the opening exchanges. Their resistance was eventually broken though, Igor heading in from Jaja's free kick. The midfielder's first goal for Internacional since switching from Figueirense. 6 minutes later, and they thought they doubled their lead. Forlan's free kick was diverted in by the Palmeiras defence, but the flag came to the home side's rescue. Replays proved inconclusive. Internacional were nearly made to rue their first half misses just before the hour. Marcos Assunção's free kick evaded everyone, including Hernan Barcos. That was the way it stayed, stretching Internacional's unbeaten run to 4 matches. Defeat for Palmeiras leaves them in trouble at the bottom, with just 2 wins from a possible 15. Vasco da Gama were held at home by Corinthians on Sunday, missing the chance to go top. Atletico Mineiro's trip to Flamengo was postponed due to issues with the home club's pitch. Clarence Seedorf scored for Botafogo for the first time, as they won at Atletico Goianense. Atletico Mineiro are top, 1 point ahead of Vasco, with Fluminense and Grêmio close behind. Internacional are 5th after their win, while Corinthians are in the top half after a slow start to the defence of their title.
When former England international Paul Mariner took charge of Toronto FC back in June, he knew he faced a huge task. Charged with reversing the Canadian club's fortunes after a dismal start to the season, which has seen them lose all 9 of their opening games. Almost 2 months on, Toronto had lost just 3 of their 11 league games since Mariner replaced Dutchman Aaron Vinter, ahead of their midweek CONCACAF Champions League opener at home to the champions of El Salvador, Aguila. Luis Silva's header from a Torsten Frings corner set the tone early on against a team who'd arrived in Toronto only hours earlier after an unscheduled stay at a Miami airport. In front of a small crowd of just over 5,000 at their BMO Field home, Toronto found themselves 2-0 up inside 20 minutes. Silva this time turning provider for Bermudan Reggie Lamb to score. Aguila were making their debut in the continental tournament and pulled a goal back. Milos Kocic allowed Olsail Romero's free kick to run loose. Yekel Perez was quickest to it. But any hopes of a result for Aguila after their disrupted 2,000-mile journey north were to suffer another blow moments later as Terry Dunfield diverted in Ashton Morgan's shot to re-establish Toronto's 2-goal lead. Toronto made it to the semi-finals of the CONCACAF Champions League last season, the first ever Canadian team to do so. Here they were in fine form. Lamb crashed in a second after half-time as the MLS side took complete control. Ryan Johnson then made it 5-1 before the hour mark. Johnson's 6th CONCACAF Champions League goal for Toronto, tying him with João Plata as the club's leading scorer in the competition. "5-1 was how it stayed as Toronto continued their steady rejuvenation with Mariner at the helm. With no preliminary rounds anymore, the group format for this year's CONCACAF Champions League has changed. There are now 24 teams competing in 8 groups of 3, instead of 16 teams divided into 4 groups. Only the group winners will reach the knockout phase. It means Toronto will have to overcome the challenge of Santos Laguna in Group 1, the Mexican team who beat them convincingly in last year's semi-finals.
Tim Cahill made his MLS debut for the New York Red Bulls on Friday as the Eastern Conference leaders travelled to play Houston Dynamo. The Red Bulls had lost to Tottenham in a friendly just 3 days earlier, and they made a sluggish start against a Houston team who'd won their previous 4 games. Jamaican Jermaine Taylor was given the easiest of chances after New York's failure to deal with a free kick. Houston then doubled their lead shortly before the half-hour mark. More poor defending from the Red Bulls saw Callan Carr rise highest to head past Bill Gaudet. Cahill was making his MLS bow after his move from Everton, and the Australian's off-target header was one of numerous chances New York wasted after half-time. Thierry Henry was also unable to make an impact. It ended 2-0 as Houston leapfrogged their opponents to the top of the Eastern Conference. Elsewhere, Toronto followed up their CONCACAF Champions League win with defeat at Chicago Fire. Real Salt Lake missed a chance to go top in the West as they lost 1-0 away to Colorado Rapids. And Sporting Kansas City won by the same scoreline at the New England Revolution. Unbeaten in 8 games under their Scottish-born coach Dominic Kinnear, Houston sit top of the Eastern Conference. 2 successive league defeats mean New York have slipped to 3rd, with Sporting Kansas City in the 2nd automatic playoff berth. The San Jose Earthquakes weren't in action at the weekend, but remain the leading side in MLS after Real Salt Lake's defeat. LA Galaxy were 5th ahead of their trip to the Seattle Sounders late on Sunday evening.
Moving east to China, where Shanghai Shenhua's supporters turned out in full force to watch new signing Didier Drogba make his home debut for the club. They hosted Hangzhou Greentown on Saturday, with the Ivorian still searching for his first goal since switching from Chelsea. Shenhua entered the game looking to make it 5 league games unbeaten, but that run came under threat early on. Feng Gang firing the visitors in front with 7 minutes gone. Only the 19-year-old's second goal in senior football. But Shenhua weren't behind for long, partnering Nicolas Anelka and making his second start. Drogba made his mark. The striker latching on to a fine through ball to score his first goal for the club, much to the delight of the home fans. Shanghai Shenhua hadn't come from behind to win a league game for more than a year, but they looked well on their way to ending that record as they went ahead just after the half-hour mark. Then Ren Liang with the finish to complete the comeback, although goalkeeper Jiang Bo was at fault. And one became two for Drogba as he grabbed Shenhua's third 6 minutes from time. The hosts were to add two more in the final 5 minutes to round off a comfortable 5-1 victory for Sergio Batista's team. Meanwhile, leaders Guangzhou Evergrande conceded a late goal as they suffered a surprise defeat to Guizhou Rene. Chen Ji strike in the 80th minute, condemning Marcello Lippi's side to just their second league defeat in 10. And second place Jiangsu Sainty played out a 6-goal thriller with Shandong Luneng. So Jiangsu missed the chance to move to the top of the table after Guangzhou's slip-up. Beijing Guan's first league win in 4 lifted them up to 4th at the expense of Guangzhou RNF. Buoyed by Drogba's arrival, Shanghai Shenhua are up to 9th, their highest league placing of the season.
In Japan, Vegalta Sendai took to the field at home to the Yokohama F. Marinos on Saturday, hoping to reclaim top spot in the J-League. With just 2 defeats to their name all season, Vegalta took a while to get going. Defender Toshihiko Uchiyama's header finally put them ahead after an hour. Yokohama had lost just 3 times prior to this, though, and they equalised within 6 minutes. Former Celtic midfielder Shunsuke Nakamura, the man to haul the Marinos level. And within moments, the away side were ahead. Takashi Kanai made it 2-1. But Yokohama's season had been plagued by too many draws. And sure enough, Wilson's penalty made it 2-2 with 3 minutes left. Sanfrecce Hiroshima's loss meant that point was enough to take Vegalta back to the top. Defending champions Kashiwa Reysol remain in the title hunt despite their draw at Albirex Niigata. Just 7 points separate the top 9, 20 rounds into the season. Vegalta finished 4th last year. It was seen as a remarkable achievement after the club had been caught up in the earthquake in March of 2011. When the season ends in December, they'll hope to have their first ever top division title in their grasp.
As ever, we end the show with our Goal of the Week vote. Last week's winner was Samuel Eto'o. The Cameroon star's individual strike for Anzhi Makhachkala against Honved in Champions League qualifying, earning more than 50% of the votes in our global poll on goal.com. Each week we ask you to select your favourite from 5 we've picked out. Goal 1 this week is Philippe Coutinho's curling effort for Inter against Hajduk Split in Europa League qualifying. Oleg Shatov's strike for Anzhi Makhachkala against Vitesse is goal 2. A left-footed effort the watching Roberto Carlos would have been proud of. Goal number 3 is Didier Drogba's first for Shanghai Shenhua in China during their biggest win of the season against Hangzhou Greentown. Another former Premier League player is proving a hit in China. This is Yakubu scoring his 3rd for Guangzhou RNF during their 2-1 defeat to Tianjin Teda. It's goal number 4 on our list. And finally, goal 5 is from another familiar name playing in Asia, Shunsuke Nakamura's superb goal for the Yokohama F. Marinos against Vegalta Sendai in Japan. Voting for your favourite goal is easy. Just head to the video section on goal.com.
On next week's Goal Show, more from Major League Soccer as the race for a playoff berth hots up. And league leaders Atletico Mineiro return to action in the Campeonato Brasileiro.